It always starts quietly. A breath, a moment, a face that looks almost ordinary. Hello friends, welcome back to the true story on our channel Crime Chronicles US, where America's unsolved mysteries, vanished criminals, and chilling cases come alive. Every story is real, every detail matters, and the truth remains buried in the shadows. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay updated with every mystery. There was a man who could smile like he belonged anywhere. On a college campus, on a beach, on a television game show. He looked like the kind of guy you'd forget 5 minutes after meeting him. And that was the most dangerous thing about him. Because monsters don't usually announce themselves. They blend in, they wait, they learn how to be liked. Rodney Alcala learned that early. He learned how to watch people without being noticed. How to listen without reacting. How to tilt his head just enough to seem interested. How to let silence do the work for him. He wasn't loud. He wasn't aggressive. He didn't need to be. He understood something most people never think about. If you make someone feel seen, they will trust you. And if they trust you, they'll follow you. He was born in Texas in 1943. But that detail matters less than what came later. His childhood fractured early. His father left. His mother moved the family to Los Angeles. Abandonment doesn't always scream. Sometimes it settles in quietly, like a background hum you stop noticing until it's all you hear. Rodney learned how to disappear into himself. He learned how to create a mask. By the time he was a teenager, he was already experimenting with control. Not in obvious ways, in subtle ones. Watching reactions, testing boundaries, seeing how far he could go before someone pushed back. Most people pushed back. Some didn't. He remembered those ones. He was smart, smarter than average. He attended UCLA's School of Fine Arts. Photography became his thing. A camera is a perfect tool for someone like Rodney Alcala. It gives you permission to stare. It gives you an excuse to ask questions. It lets you freeze people in a moment where they're trying to be their best selves. And more than anything, it puts you in control of how someone is seen. He liked that power. In 1968, a little girl named Tali Shapiro was walking home from school in Hollywood. She was 8 years old. Alcala lured her into his apartment. What happened inside that apartment was brutal. When police arrived, they found him standing over her, attacking her with a steel bar. He ran. He fled to New York. Tali survived, but she was left with permanent brain damage. Alcala was placed on the FBI's most wanted list. And here's where the story takes its first deep, unsettling turn. He wasn't caught right away. He changed his name. He enrolled in NYU. He worked as a camp counselor. Think about that for a moment. A man who had tried to murder a child was trusted with children again. That's not because the system failed loudly. It failed quietly. Paperwork, missed connections, human assumptions. Alcala knew how to slip through cracks because he knew how people fought. Eventually, he was recognized. He was arrested. He was extradited back to California. He pled guilty to assault and kidnapping. And then, in a move that still feels unreal, he was sentenced to time served. Time served. He walked free in 1974. No one watching him walk out of that courtroom knew they were watching a countdown start. Over the next few years, women began to disappear. Not in a way that triggered alarms right away. Not all at once. Just enough to feel like coincidence. A hitchhiker here, a runaway there. A young woman who told her roommate she was meeting a photographer. Los Angeles in the 1970s was big, loud, chaotic. People vanished into it all the time. Rodney Alcala moved through that chaos like a ghost. He approached women in public places, beaches, malls, campuses. He was charming, educated, soft-spoken. He talked about art, about photography, about how interesting their faces were. He asked if he could take their picture. He said it like it was no big deal. Like they'd be doing him a favor. Many said yes. Some of those women were never seen again. He would photograph them first. That part mattered to him. The camera was part of the ritual. It allowed him to capture their trust before he destroyed it. Some were assaulted. Some were tortured. Some were strangled. The exact number of his victims is still unknown. And that uncertainty is part of the horror. Police believe the number could be in the dozens, possibly more. And while all of this was happening, Rodney Alcala did something that feels like a glitch in reality. In 1978, he appeared on a nationally televised dating show. The Dating Game. Picture it. Bright lights, applause, laughter. Alcala sat behind a partition, joking with the Bachelorette. He came across as witty, confident, a little quirky. The audience loved him. The woman chose him as the winner. She later said something felt off. Something in his eyes. She refused to go on the date. She trusted her instinct, and that instinct likely saved her life. Think about how many people watched that episode. Millions. A serial killer smiling into America's living rooms, and no one knew. Or maybe they did, but didn't want to believe it. Evil doesn't always look like we expect it to. Behind the scenes, Alcala's crimes continued. Then, in 1979, a 12-year-old girl named Robin Samsoe disappeared while riding her bike to ballet class in Huntington Beach. Her body was found days later in the mountains. This time, something was different. Witnesses remembered a man taking photos of Robin earlier that day. They described him. They described his car. This time, the cracks didn't hold. Police arrested Rodney Alcala in 1979. Evidence began to pile up. Jewelry belonging to victims, witness testimony, and most chilling of all, a storage locker filled with hundreds of photographs. Women, girls, some smiling, some confused, some terrified, some never identified. These photos weren't just souvenirs. They were trophies, a record, a silent confession that spoke louder than any words he ever said. In 1980, Alcala was convicted of Robin Samsoe's murder and sentenced to death. You'd think the story would end there, but it didn't. Because the legal system has a way of looping when it should close. His conviction was overturned due to jury issues, then overturned again. Years passed, decades, families waited. Alcala represented himself in court, cross-examining victims' families, smiling, arguing technicalities, enjoying the attention, enjoying the control. Meanwhile, investigators began connecting him to more murders. Cold cases reopened. DNA testing advanced. Names were given to the nameless. And slowly, the shape of his true legacy came into focus. Not just a killer, A predator who understood systems. A man who exploited trust, bureaucracy, and human kindness. Someone who hid in plain sight and dared the world to notice. And the most unsettling part? He almost got away with it. More than once. And then the waiting began. Years stacked on top of each other. Quiet on the surface, violent underneath. Rodney Alcala sat in prison, aging slowly, watching the world change without him, but never letting go of the belief that he was smarter than the system holding him. He filed motions. He studied law books. He learned how to sound reasonable, how to stretch time, how to turn procedure into a weapon. Justice didn't move forward for the families. It moved in circles. Investigators, meanwhile, kept staring at the photographs. Hundreds of them. Boxes filled with faces, frozen in moments that felt too intimate to be harmless. Women on beaches. Girls leaning against walls. Eyes that hadn't yet learned fear, and eyes that already had. Some were smiling because they believed they were safe. Some were smiling because they were trying to be polite. Some weren't smiling at all. Detectives realized something chilling. These weren't just random pictures. They were a map. A timeline of Alcala's movements. A visual record of opportunity. Many of the women in those photos had never been reported missing. Some had families who still believed they were alive somewhere. Some had no one left to ask questions. Police made the photos public. Imagine seeing your sister's face on the evening news, decades later, knowing she never came home, and suddenly realizing why. Imagine recognizing your own younger self, smiling into a camera, and feeling your body go cold as you understand how close you were to vanishing. Tips poured in from across the country. Names were matched. Stories resurfaced. Survivors spoke up. Women who had escaped him remembered the odd questions, the way his friendliness felt slightly delayed, like a response rehearsed instead of felt. Some remembered being taken to remote locations and getting away by chance. A passing car. A sudden instinct. A refusal to follow him one step further. Luck saved them. Not strength, not help. Luck. And luck eventually ran out for Rodney Alcala. In 2003, prosecutors tried him again for the murder of Robin Samsoe. This time, they brought more. DNA evidence tied him not only to Robin, but to multiple other murders. Women who had disappeared years apart, in different cities, connected by a single thread. His. In 2010, Alcala was convicted of 5 murders and sentenced to death once more. The courtroom was heavy. Families sat with photos pressed to their chests. Some cried. Some stared at him, searching his face for something human. He didn't give it to them. He never apologized. He never explained. He never admitted guilt in the way people expect monsters to. Instead, he criticized the process. He argued semantics. He complained about fairness. Even at the end, he wanted the narrative to be about him being wronged, not about what he had done. But the story had already escaped his control. More investigations followed. Authorities linked him to additional murders in New York, New Hampshire, Wyoming. The number climbed, then climbed again. By the time the dust settled, Rodney Alcala was suspected of killing over 100 people. Some estimates went even higher. The exact number may never be known, because some stories end without bodies. Some end without names. Some end with only a photograph and a question mark. Alcala spent his final years in prison, isolated, deteriorating. The charm faded. The intelligence dulled. The man who once smiled into a TV camera became a frail figure in a cell, arguing with no one, impressing no one, controlling nothing. The world moved on without him. Technology advanced. Faces aged. Victims were remembered by people who refused to let them disappear again. In 2021, Rodney Alcala died of natural causes while awaiting execution. No spectacle, no dramatic final words, no closure that felt big enough. Just an ending that felt small and quiet and deeply unsatisfying. And maybe that's the point. Because the real story was never about him. It was about the danger of assuming monsters look different from us. About how intelligence without empathy becomes a weapon. About how systems designed to protect can be exploited by those patient enough to study them. About how many times warning signs were missed because someone didn't want to seem rude or dramatic or wrong. Rodney Alcala didn't win, but he didn't lose in a way that makes us comfortable either. His legacy isn't just a list of victims. It's a reminder that charm can be camouflage, that trust should be given carefully, that instincts matter, that evil doesn't always rush. Sometimes it waits, sometimes it smiles, sometimes it asks if it can take your picture. And when the camera clicks, the moment is gone forever. That's the end of the story. Not because everything was resolved, but because this is where the control finally stopped. So friends, if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Crime Chronicles US for more chilling unsolved mysteries from across America. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next story.